So, hello everyone, and welcome to the Nuclear channel. So, today we are going to see about exception handling in Python. So, let's start with what are exceptions. So, here is some, let's say, most common one exception, and that is zero division error. So, your program just crashed, but what if we could stop that? So, that is something that is in mind of everyone, that we don't want to stop the program, and we just stop. We basically want the program to continue in case of error, and it should notify us. So with that in mind, let's start with a simple definition, that what is an exception. So exception is nothing but an you can say exception is the runtime error that what is a runtime error that stops your program. So this is something. Examples are zero division error, find not find error, and also wrong input type. So these are the basic. You can say what are the basic exceptions are look like. Basic definition. And now let's create a program. Let's say divide number. So we have created a program which take two inputs. Let's say a comma b, and it returns a divides by b. Now this is a simple program that divides two number, right? And let's write some use cases for it. For it, let's say we write something like what should we write? Okay, divide number. Let's say 6 comma 2, and copy that a few times. Let's say 4 comma 2. Let's say 8 comma 3, and here I will pass 0 and 10. Now, I want to check whether these use cases are occurring correctly or not. Basically, I want to check that whether my function is working properly or not. And when I try to do that, the two use cases executed properly. But the use cases where we try to divide from zero, basically crash, and the program stops, and we don't get the uh, for answers for something like these use cases. So you will say this is a faulty code block. Now I want my function to handle this faulty code block efficiently. Now for that we have something called as try and accept block. What is try and accept? Basically block. Okay. Now in the try, as the name suggests, what it is going to do is it is going to simply try the things that we prompted to. Basically, the code, basically the function definition, or you can say any code that we put into try is a simple, you can say, is the normal code that we the thing. And what we can do is simply return a divided by b, and then accept. We are going to print. Basically, if something breaks, then say number b should not be, you can say should be greater than 0. Now this is something that we you can say print to the console. Now when I try to run this program, so as you can see, this time we don't get any kind of error, but This time we get something like, okay, the number b should be greater than 0, basically a warning. And this is something that we are expecting our function to return. Okay, and also one thing to keep in mind that uh, whenever our code basically faces the except block, it is just returning us the none value, as you can see here. And from here, what you get to see is that try is the it contains the code that might face some issue. And what is except block? It is the fallback for the risky code in try. So basically, this is what try and accept works. Basically, it helps us to reduce, or you can say to basically keep the function from, you can say, returning us some error and stopping the uses. Rather than that, we want to continue the function and just keep giving us some kind of warnings, or you can say some kind of proper errors, which help us debug the code efficiently. Yeah, this help us debug the code efficiently and more accurately. So there is also one thing that we must keep in mind, that uh, we must catch specific errors, and that is very important for us. So what I am trying to say is that if rather than printing some kind of, you can say, statement, what we can do is we can add a except block, and in this except block we are going to raise a zero division error, and this zero division error is going to print the same thing. So there is something, this is the, you can say, value error, and this is the except block for something like, okay, as this is something like the value error, that if there is any kind of values that you don't want to say, then we can say the invalid input. So this is something that you must keep in mind. Now, why I am saying this, you can say, value error here. Of course, there might be some kind of, you can say, test where we can't divide the number, let's say 10, comma, a. So of course, we can't divide the 10 by use case, you can say string a. So in that situation, what we did is we basically return a value error, and this value error prompt us to the, you can say, unsupported typo, this kind of thing. So of course, this is kind of thing that you should keep in mind. Now, what if I want to make it more, you can say, access the message also, rather than printing something like this here. I want to basically raise an error, and in the error, I want to print this particular type of message. Now, that can be done by simply, you can say, let's say, or rather, maybe, yeah, we can do is one thing. We can just make a copy of this code, comment it out, and in this code, what we can do is we can use the as operator like this, except zero error as e. And in this, rather than passing print statement, what we can do is we can raise the error E with the prompt this. And in the similar way, we can say E E dot. Now, what it does is it basically raises the error, and can also add the note in this by doing dot add note function. And in the add note basically method, what we can do is we can use the custom you can say warnings that we want to print to the console along with the standard ones. Now, when I try to do that, what it is going to do is it is going to return us something like this. As you can see, after raising this error, we get a note saying, okay, this number should be greater than 0. This is something that you must keep in mind every time we did that. And rather than raising the error, what else we can do is we can print the E here actually. And I try to run this code. As you can see, we get some kind of warnings. Okay, division by 0. As you can see, the zero division error prints the division by you can say 0, and at last we get a you can say warning for okay you can't you can say divide the number by a string. So this kind of thing is something that you must keep in mind. And also, rather than using an except block, what we can use is we can also use an else block, like in yeah, if and else block, and we can print something like uh, success, and the at last which we can return is a divided by b. Now this is something that we can do here, of course, and it will only run if there is no you can say error. That means if I try to run this, or maybe if I try to, let's say, comment the faulty ones and I try to run this program, it returns us this kind of outputs, and it is not executing because we have to put that here. And let's comment the next things, whatever happening there. Uh, so this kind of thing that we must keep in mind, that it is only going to return, or you can say run, when there is no error like this. So that's all. And finally, what we can do is what we can do is we can also raise our own kind of exceptions. Like what we can do is I will just comment everything here, paste a new function, sorry, paste a new function of dividing two numbers here, and uncommenting everything. And here what we can do is we can just simply create our own kind of error. Let's say if b is less than 0, or you can say b equal to 0, then print, or rather than print, we can use a raise statement. This raise statement basically uh, print the type of error that is we want to print on the console, like raise value error. and here we can prompt enter the prompt like the denominator can't be 0. So this kind of thing that we can do else return a divided by b. And also if I uncomment this block and again try to run this, as you can see, it returns us the error, and it says the value error, and the prompt is the denominator can't be 0. So these are the things that you can say. That means you can create your own rules while defining the error. Now the common beginner mistake is that they only use except block basically, and the except block basically hides the real error, and it is difficult to understand the error type. And also please don't try to overuse a try and except. So this is something that we have learned about the, you can say, exception handling. So with this we have completed that, and we will implement that into our code after we have seen something like iterators and generators. Yeah, maybe that will do. After creating the you can say iterators and generators, we will basically see the implementation here. You can say, let me just add it to the schedule. That is project improvements, and we will decide for the project later. Okay. So with that note, we can close this lecture and let's meet in the next lecture.